The people I fed, clothed, and protected would gladly watch my mother die if it meant they could enjoy one more luxury. The hospital corridor felt like a long, frozen tunnel. Time didn't walk here, it limped. The overhead lights flickered with that tired hum hospitals always have, as if the building itself was exhausted from holding everyone's pain. Keziah sat hunched in a metal chair outside the ICU, still wearing the same wrinkled bonnet she had been wearing for hours. The cold metal beneath her felt like punishment, but she didn't move. Her hands were clasped tightly around each other, knuckles pale, as if she were trying to hold herself together by force. Inside that ICU room, her mother, her only living parent, was fighting the battle of her life after collapsing suddenly at home. Keziah had been the one to find her. Keziah had been the one to call the ambulance. Keziah had been the one to sign the financial forms. Alone. She wasn't supposed to be alone. She had a husband. She had in-laws. She had a family, at least on paper. Her phone sat beside her, cold and silent. She had called her husband earlier, her voice trembling as she explained her mother's condition. "Trey, it's Mama. She had a heart attack. She's in ICU. I need you here." His sigh had been louder than his concern. "Kez, I'm at the wedding venue with my sister. I can't leave. You handle it." Handle it? Her mother was dying and he wanted her to handle it? She called again. He didn't answer. She texted. He left it on red. She tried her mother-in-law. The woman's reply was ice dipped in disgust. "Keziah, stop being dramatic. You know how stressful this wedding is. Don't burden us with your family problems. Deal with your mother yourself." The call ended with a click. Sharp. Final. Slicing. Keziah stared at her phone afterward, feeling something inside her crack. Not loudly, but quietly, dangerously. A thin fracture in a foundation she had spent years building with patience, silence, and sacrifice. Her mother-in-law had always called her blessed for marrying her son, but in reality, it was Keziah's money that had blessed them. The house they lived in, Keziah bought it. The SUV Trey drove, Keziah paid for it. The allowance she sent his mother each month, Keziah funded it. Serapina's extravagant wedding preparations, all Keziah's wallet. And yet here she was, alone in a hospital hallway, her heart breaking while they planned centerpieces and color themes. But then her phone vibrated. She snatched it up, breath hitching. It wasn't Trey asking about her mother. It wasn't concern. It was her banking app. Automatic transfer successful. $2,000 to Rowena. Her mother was fighting for her life, and Keziah had just automatically paid her mother-in-law's monthly allowance. And something inside her snapped. And just when Keziah thought the night couldn't cut her any deeper, a new message appeared on her phone. One so outrageous, it changed the entire course of her life forever. Before we continue, tell me in the comments, what would you do if your spouse ignored you during a family emergency? And don't forget to like and subscribe so more people can discover stories like this. Keziah sat in the cafeteria, her untouched tea growing cold in front of her. 2 days had passed since her mother collapsed, and she had barely slept. Her head felt heavy, but her heart felt heavier. She glanced at her silent phone. She had turned the ringer off because she simply couldn't bear the noise anymore. But the vibration still buzzed every few minutes, each one a reminder of who wasn't calling. Not a single message from Trey asking, "How's your mom? Is she stable? Do you need anything? Instead, dozens of missed calls from him and his family, all coming in after she had stopped transferring money. But that morning, as she forced down a bite of a stale bagel, her phone vibrated again. This time, it wasn't random. It was a long message from Trey. For a moment, foolish hope flickered in her chest. Maybe he finally realized. Maybe he finally cared. Maybe he was coming. She unlocked her phone. The hope died instantly. Trey, why aren't you answering? You're ignoring Mom on purpose, aren't you? Whatever. Stop being childish. Transfer $15,000 to Mom today. It's needed for Serafina's venue deposit. And the rest is for Mom's vacation in Turks and Caicos? She's stressed planning the wedding. Family honor is on the line. Send it now, before tomorrow morning. Keziah reread the message 3 times, not because she didn't understand it, but because she needed to confirm it was real. Her mother fighting for her life upstairs while Trey demanded vacation money? A shaky laugh escaped her lips, first soft, then louder, uncontrollable. People in the cafeteria stared, but she couldn't stop. She wasn't laughing because it was funny. She was laughing because something inside her had finally broken free. They really thought she was an ATM with legs. They really believed she would always obey. They really believed she was too desperate, too overwhelmed to fight back. But Trey didn't know something. A woman pushed too far becomes a different creature entirely. The laughter died abruptly. Her face hardened. Her hands stopped shaking. The fog in her mind cleared, replaced by an icy focus. She opened her banking app. She clicked transfer. Not to her mother-in-law. Not $15,000. She entered Trey's account. Amount? $50. A symbolic insult wrapped as generosity. She clicked send. Transfer successful. Then she returned to Trey's message thread. Her heart was calm, steady, eerily steady. She typed only one sentence. Here. By phone minutes. Don't call me again. She hit send, then waited. Not for him, but for what she already knew was coming. Her phone exploded with notifications, call after call, message after message, all ignored. And then, when she silenced her phone entirely, she opened a new contact, Attorney Sterling. It was time. And when Attorney Sterling picked up the phone, his very first sentence told Keziah that he already knew why she was calling, and he had been waiting for this day. Now, what do you think Attorney Sterling told Keziah on the phone? And who was he, and how did he know your share of solid gold insights are coming your way in the next segment of today's episode? The moment Attorney Sterling answered the phone, Keziah didn't even have the chance to fully greet him. Miss Keziah, he said in a tone that was both gentle and powerful. I had a feeling this call would come someday. Tell me what you need. Those words alone nearly made her knees buckle. For years, he had watched quietly. For years, he must have seen the signs she ignored. And now he was ready, more ready than she was. Keziah leaned against the hallway wall near the hospital garden window, gripping her phone as if holding on to a new spine forming inside her. I need everything stopped, she said quietly. Everything they've been taking. List it, Sterling replied, already typing. Her voice steadied. Freeze all joint accounts, mine and Trey's. Done, he said without hesitation. Next, stop all automatic transfers from my personal accounts, all of them,
especially to Trey, his mother, and his sister. Already processing. What else? Keziah inhaled deeply, her heart hammered not from fear, but liberation. Verify the house on Royal Oak Drive. It's 100% mine, correct? My father's inheritance? There was a brief pause. Typing, clicking, verify. Yes, Sterling said finally. Completely yours. Your husband has no legal claim. Her lips curled into the first genuine smile she'd had in days. Good, she whispered. List it for sale immediately. Start today. This time Sterling paused longer, not out of doubt, but out of respect. Keziah, this is a major decision. Are you absolutely sure? She didn't hesitate. I've let parasites live in that house long enough. Sell it. There was no tremor in her voice, no softness, just truth. Sterling exhaled deeply, a satisfied, almost proud sigh. I've worked with your family for decades. Your father would be proud, he murmured. Continue. The car, as Keziah said, the SUV Trey drives, the car his mother uses. Who owns them? Sterling chuckled darkly. You do. Both leases are linked to your accounts. Stop all payments immediately. That will trigger a repossession in about 48 hours. Perfect, Keziah said coldly. Let them walk. For the first time in years, she felt weight sliding off her shoulders, one chain at a time. Sterling finished typing. I'll email the power of attorney forms within the next 5 minutes. Sign them digitally. I'll handle the rest. Thank you, Keziah whispered, emotion tightening her throat. No, Sterling replied, his voice firm. Thank yourself for finally fighting back. I've been waiting years for you to choose yourself. When the call ended, Keziah stood still in the quiet corridor, feeling different, lighter, sharper, protected. Her phone vibrated again. Dozens of missed calls, hundreds of messages. Her husband's entire family was spiraling, and they had no idea the real storm hadn't even hit them yet. Not even close. She looked at the ICU sign, whispered a prayer for her mother, and slipped her phone into her bag. Then she walked back to her mother's bedside, calm, focused, and ready. The war had officially begun. Within the next hour, Keziah would discover a secret about the $15,000 Trey demanded, and what she learned would turn her quiet revenge into a masterpiece.
Kezia returned to her mother's ICU room, letting the sterile smell of the corridor fade behind her. Her mother lay quietly, machines humming like a lullaby of hope. Kezia gently adjusted the blanket around her shoulders, brushing a hand over her mother's frail arm. For a moment, just a moment, she let herself breathe. But the calm didn't last. Her phone buzzed again, but she ignored the chaos of Trey and his family's messages. She wasn't interested in their panic. Not anymore. Instead, her eyes drifted to something she had ignored for days, an old folder on her phone labeled wedding stuff. She hadn't created it. Serafina had sent her dozens of things over the years, photos of dresses, decor, quotes from planners, receipts that Kezia paid without being consulted. She scrolled and scrolled, and then she found it. A PDF from Red Rose Events, the wedding planner. Attached to it was the planner's number. Her heart thudded. That $15,000? Trey demanded it with such urgency. It wasn't casual greed. It was desperation. She clicked the number. Keziah clicked the link to the Children's Hope Foundation, the one her mother had sent her months ago with a simple message. If I ever have extra money, I want to help them. These children deserve life. Her mother had said it with such sincerity, even though she barely had enough for her own needs.
That was the kind of woman Mama Effie was. Quiet, generous, compassionate. Keziah's throat tightened. The $15,000 had been sitting untouched for years, her emergency fund. She had planned to use it only if her mother needed life-saving care. But now, she understood something. Saving her mother wasn't just about medical bills. It was about soul, purpose, blessings. She clicked donate. The page filled with photos, little children wearing knitted caps over bald heads, holding stuffed animals, smiling in that brave, heartbreaking way only sick children can. Under donation amount, she typed 15,000. Under dedicated to, she wrote, for the recovery of Mama Effie, with love, her daughter. Her finger hovered for a second, not from doubt, but from reverence. Then she clicked confirm. A notification popped up. Transaction successful. A receipt has been emailed to you. Keziah stared at the confirmation screen, her eyes filling, but not with sorrow, with peace. Real peace. The kind that settles deep in the bones, as if heaven itself whispered, "You did the right thing." Her mother would wake up to blessings, not debt, to prayers, not pressure, to love, not leeches. The email containing the receipt arrived instantly. She opened it. The amount stared back at her. $15,000 donated. Recipient, the Children's Hope Foundation. Below, in bold, donation made in honor of recovery of Mama Effie. Keziah took a screenshot. Not to brag, not to explain, but because she knew this simple screenshot would be the quietest, cleanest weapon she could ever use. She opened the family group chat on WhatsApp, the one with Trey's entire family, the same group where they bragged daily about their wedding preparations and their lifestyle, funded by her. She didn't type a single word. Not a lecture, not an insult, not a prayer. She simply dropped the screenshot into the chat. Send. For a moment, the message sat gray. Then, blue checks. Someone saw it. Probably many someones. Someone expecting a deposit slip for a wedding. Someone expecting Keziah to obey. Someone expecting her to fund their glory. Instead, they were met with a $15,000 donation to a children's cancer foundation in her mother's name. Keziah placed her phone face down and turned off her mobile data. She didn't need their immediate reaction. She needed silence. She needed her mother. She went back into the ICU room, kissed her mother's forehead gently, and whispered, "Mama, 10 children will receive treatment because of you. They're praying for you now. You're not alone." For the first time in days, the weight lifted. But far away from the ICU, in living rooms, boutiques, and group chats, a thunderstorm was already gathering, and it would strike with brutal accuracy, because within hours, the Children's Hope Foundation would make a public announcement about the donation, one that would rip Trey's family's reputation to pieces in front of everyone they tried to impress.
By late afternoon, Keziah had almost forgotten the screenshot she sent. She spent the day stroking her mother's hand, humming hymns under her breath, and letting the calmness of her decision settle over her. But the world outside the ICU was not calm. Far from it. At exactly 11:30 a.m., the Children's Hope Foundation posted their routine major donor highlight across all their social media platforms. It was something they did whenever anyone made a significant contribution, but this time, the timing couldn't have been more explosive. The post was beautiful, professionally designed, heartfelt, and impossible to ignore.
across the top in golden letters. A miracle gift has arrived. Below were photos of smiling children holding up little handmade thank you signs. Then in bold text, today, we received a generous donation of $15,000 from a compassionate daughter devoted to the recovery of her mother. Thank you to our donor in honor of Mama Effie's healing. This gift will fully cover the treatment of 10 of our cancer warriors for 6 months. The post ended with a prayer for Mama Effie's recovery. Comments poured in instantly. Bless this woman. May her mother heal swiftly. This restored my faith in humanity. Whoever you are, you're an angel. The post was shared hundreds of times within minutes. But the part that mattered most, the part that ignited the coming chaos, was that many of Trey's mother's socialite friends followed that exact account. They saw the post. Then they checked the family group chat and saw the screenshot. $15,000 donated, not to a wedding, not to a vacation, not to Rowena's pockets, but to sick children, in the name of the mother they all ignored. Suddenly, notifications began raining inside the family WhatsApp chat like a hailstorm. Trey's onk. Wow, Rowena. So this is where the money went. What a noble daughter-in-law you have. His cousin. Imagine donating to charity while your in-laws ask for party funds. Inspiring. Another relative. Rowena, I hope you congratulated Keziah properly. Rowena opened the group chat in a boutique dressing room, still trying on gowns for the wedding, and froze mid-zip. Her face went white, then red, then a mottled purple of humiliation. She scrolled and scrolled, and each message cut deeper. Her friends at the social club also messaged her privately. Rowena, is it true the wedding deposit wasn't paid? But your daughter-in-law donated $15K instead? What exactly is happening in your family? Why didn't you make the donation? Rowena felt the room tilt. The boutique staff watched her closely, whispers spreading like wildfire. And then her phone rang again. Serafina. Mama. Cheyenne from the planner called. She choked out. If the deposit doesn't arrive by noon, everything is canceled. Rowena tried to speak, but her throat tightened. But the money, Mama, the money is gone. For the first time, the truth slammed into both of them. Keziah wasn't bluffing. She wasn't bending. She wasn't returning. Their golden goose had finally broken the cage and flown. And she had left them naked for the world to see. While Rowena and Serafina spiraled, the planner would make the call that shattered the last piece of their pride, officially canceling the wedding and revealing exactly who pulled the financial plug. The boutique was silent in that eerie way disaster makes people quiet. The designer, the assistants, even the other customers paused what they were doing as Rowena and Serafina frantically checked their phones, their panic spreading through the room like smoke. Serafina still wore the shimmering gown she had been twirling in moments earlier. Now, the dress clung to her like a curse. Mama, call Trey again, she cried out, makeup streaking down her cheeks. He needs to fix this. He needs to make her pay. Rowena dialed him with shaking fingers, but all she heard was, the number you're trying to reach is unavailable. Unavailable, just like they had been when Keziah needed them. Rowena's breath came fast and sharp.
Try again, try again. But before she could redial, Serafina's phone vibrated violently. She looked at the screen, and her heart dropped. Cheyenne, Red Rose Events. The call they had been dreading. Mama, she whispered. It's them. Rowena lunged across the dressing room. Answer it. With trembling fingers, Serafina swiped to accept. Hello? Cheyenne's voice was no longer cheerful. No warmth, no accommodations, just cool professionalism sharpened by irritation. Good afternoon, Serafina. As of 12 o'clock, the $15,000 deposit has still not been received. Maybe we just need a few more. I'm afraid not. She cut her off smoothly. Per the contract, with the deadline missed and another client ready to commit, the venue reservation and all associated vendors for your date have now been canceled. The words hit like a bullet. Canceled? Serafina repeated, her voice cracking. Correct, Cheyenne said. And one more thing. Serafina's breath hitched. We were contacted this morning by attorney Sterling, who informed us that Miss Keziah has officially withdrawn as your financial guarantor. Without her, we cannot proceed with any booking under your name. The phone nearly slipped from Serafina's hand. Everyone in the boutique heard Cheyenne's final sentence. She hadn't even tried to lower her voice. Please be aware, the client on the waiting list has already paid the full amount. Your original date is no longer available. And then, click. The call ended. Serafina stared at the phone screen, motionless. Then, she choked out a scream so raw it echoed through the boutique. The wedding is gone! It's gone! Everything is gone! Rowena's body swayed. Her knees buckled. She had to grip the counter to stay upright. Her entire identity, her social standing, her pride, her carefully constructed image collapsed like a burned ribbon at her feet. The designer stepped forward, face stiff. Ma'am, without payment, we cannot continue your dress fitting. Please remove the gown. Remove the gown. Remove the fantasy. Remove the illusion. Humiliation settled over Rowena and Serafina like a public execution. They had expected $15,000 to buy their status. Instead, it bought a spotlight, one that illuminated everything they tried to hide. Outside the boutique doors, the world was already whispering. And this was just the beginning, because while the boutique humiliation spread like wildfire, Trey was about to suffer a blow even more devastating, one that would hit him at work, in public, and in front of people he desperately needed to impress. While Rowena and Serafina were being escorted out of the boutique like disgraced celebrities, Trey sat in his glossy corporate office, completely unaware that the ground beneath him was about to collapse. He had spent the morning nervously checking his banking app. Nothing. Still nothing. Still no deposit from Keziah. But Trey convinced himself that she was just being emotional. She always caved eventually. She always paid. His mother's angry calls only added to the pressure. Trey, the boutique rejected us. The wedding planner canceled everything. How could she do this to us? Fix it. He snapped back. Ma, relax. Keziah wouldn't dare let me down. She's just mad. But even as he said it, fear gnawed at his stomach. He knew Keziah better than anyone, and this wasn't her typical silence. There was something colder in it. Something final. He tried calling again. One check? Not two. Blocked or powered off. Either option was terrifying. And then things got worse. His colleagues began glancing at him from across the room, whispering, turning their laptop screens subtly away when he walked by. A notification pinged on his computer. You were mentioned in a post. He clicked it without thinking. Up popped the Children's Hope Foundation's donor announcement, the same one that had sent Rowena and Serafina spiraling. And there, in the comments section beneath the post, was his coworker, tagging him publicly. Wow, Trey, your wife is incredible. 15K donated? That's some real generosity. Another colleague responded. Respect. Supporting her mother instead of wasting money on a wedding party. That's class. A third. You're blessed, man. Don't lose a woman like that. Trey's blood ran cold. This wasn't praise. This was exposure. This was the world learning where the money went. This was everyone connecting the dots. That Kazia was the real provider, the real force, the real heart. Not him. He felt stripped, naked, unmasked. Suddenly, his boss stepped out of his glass office. Trey, I need a quick word. Trey swallowed hard and followed him in. The door closed with a soft click. His boss's face was unreadable as he folded his hands on the desk. Trey, we've been reviewing some concerns. Attendance issues, performance decline, poor financial ethics, rumors from vendors you've been contacting using your wife's credentials. Trey's throat tightened. Sir, that's effective immediately. Your contract with us is terminated. HR will email you the formal letter. Terminated. Just like that. Trey's vision blurred. Sir, please, you can't. His boss looked at him with mild pity. You used the company's name to try to get wedding discounts you weren't authorized for. And frankly, your wife has more influence with our partners than you do. This wasn't a difficult decision. The words hit like stone. Trey left the office, numb, security already escorting him out like a criminal. In minutes, he went from polished professional to unemployed embarrassment. He stepped into the daylight dizzy, humiliated, and completely lost. The first person he tried to call was Kazia. Again, the call didn't go through, and this time the truth finally landed, heavy and brutal. She wasn't ignoring him. She had cut him off, entirely. As Trey stumbled home in panic, Rowena and Serafina were about to face a humiliation so severe, so public, that even the neighbors would talk about it for months. Rowena had never felt embarrassment the way she felt it now, heavy, suffocating, pressing against her like an invisible crowd. She and Serafina drove home in silence, the canceled boutique fitting and the public exposure still burning their skin. But the humiliation waiting at home was worse, much worse. As soon as Rowena's car turned onto their street, she noticed something unusual. Neighbors, standing outside, not one or two, at least a dozen, all watching, all whispering, all waiting. Serafina clutched her mother's arm. Mama, why are they outside? Rowena slowed the car, her heart pounding. Some of the neighbors actually had their phones out, recording. Recording what? Then she saw it. A tow truck parked right in front of their house, a second one behind it. And strapped to the first truck was her silver SUV, her pride, her status symbol, her daily declaration of superiority, being lifted off the ground like trash. Serafina screamed, Mama, they're taking the cars! As if on cue, the driver of the tow truck stepped down, wiping his hands casually on a rag. You must be Mrs. Rowena, he said coolly. Rowena stumbled out of the car, nearly tripping on the pavement. What is the meaning of this? You can't take my vehicles. This is illegal. The driver raised an eyebrow. Ma'am, these aren't your vehicles. Both leases are under Miss Kazia Evans. Payments stopped this week. That triggers repossession. Standard procedure. Rowena blinked rapidly. Kazia. Of course. She gripped the hood of her car as if her touch alone could hold it to the ground.
You don't understand. My son-in-law drives one of these. My husband uses the other. We need these cars." The driver shrugged. "Take it up with Miss Kazia. We're just doing our job." The chains tightened. The SUV rose higher. Serafina fell to her knees on the sidewalk. "Mama, this can't be happening. Not now, not after the wedding cancellation." But fate wasn't done. The second tow truck began lifting the smaller luxury car, the one Serafina bragged endlessly on social media, her engagement car, her pre-wedding princess ride. Gone. Neighbors whispered openly now. "Looks like the money dried up. I knew they were living above their means. Didn't the daughter-in-law pay for everything? Serves them right. They were always so proud." Rowena's ears rang. She couldn't breathe. Her reputation, her fortress, was crumbling in real time, in front of an audience. But then came the final blow. The driver walked toward her with a clipboard. "I need a signature to confirm repossession. Right here, under responsible party." Rowena stared, and then her blood ran colder. The name printed on the form? Rowena Johnston. Not Kazia's name, not Trey's, hers. Kazia had removed herself from every financial connection. Rowena was the one left legally responsible for the remaining debt. Serafina sobbed harder. "Mama, sign it. They're looking at us." Rowena's hand shook as she scrawled her signature. The neighbors recorded it all. Her shame was documented from every angle. As the trucks drove away with her dignity strapped behind them, Rowena could feel something new growing in her chest. Not guilt, not regret, a deep, uncontrollable rage aimed directly at Kazia. Fueled by rage and desperate to salvage her pride, Rowena would do the unthinkable. She would storm into the hospital to confront Kazia. But what she would find there would destroy her last remaining illusion of control.
The boutique was silent in that eerie way disaster makes people quiet. The designer, the assistants, even the other customers paused what they were doing as Rowena and Serafina frantically checked their phones, their panic spreading through the room like smoke. Serafina still wore the shimmering gown she had been twirling in moments earlier. Now the dress clung to her like a curse. "Mama, call Trey again," she cried, makeup streaking down her cheeks. "He needs to fix this. He needs to make her pay." Rowena dialed him with shaking fingers, but all she heard was, "The number you're trying to reach is unavailable." Unavailable. Just like they had been when Keziah needed them. Rowena's breath came fast and sharp. Try again. Try again. But before she could redial, Serafina's phone vibrated violently. She looked at the screen and her heart dropped. Cheyenne. Red Rose Events. The call they had been dreading. "Mama," she whispered. "It's them." Rowena lunged across the dressing room. "Answer it." With trembling fingers, Serafina swiped to accept. "Hello?" Cheyenne's voice was no longer cheerful. No warmth, no accommodations. Just cool professionalism, sharpened by irritation. "Good afternoon, Serafina. As of 12 o'clock, the $15,000 deposit has still not been received. Maybe we just need a few more—" "I'm afraid not." Cheyenne cut her off smoothly. "Per the contract, with the deadline missed and another client ready to commit, the venue reservation and all associated vendors for your date have now been canceled." The words hit like a bullet. "Canceled?" Serafina repeated, her voice cracking. "Correct. All previous arrangements have been dissolved. And one more thing." Serafina's breath hitched. "We were contacted this morning by attorney Sterling, who informed us that Miss Keziah has officially withdrawn as your financial guarantor. Without her, we cannot proceed with any booking under your name." The phone nearly slipped from Serafina's hand. Everyone in the boutique heard Cheyenne's final sentence.
She hadn't even tried to lower her voice. "Please be aware, the client on the waiting list has already paid the full amount. Your original date is no longer available." And then, click. The call ended. Serafina stared at the phone screen, motionless. Then she choked out a scream so raw it echoed through the boutique. "The wedding! The wedding is gone! It's gone, Mama! Everything is gone!" Rowena's body swayed, her knees buckled. She had to grip the counter to stay upright. Her entire identity, her social standing, her pride, her carefully constructed image collapsed like a burned ribbon at her feet. The boutique designer stepped forward, face stiff. "Ma'am, without payment, we cannot continue your dress fitting. Please remove the gown." Remove the gown. Remove the illusion. Remove the humiliation. Humiliation settled over Rowena and Serafina like a public execution. They expected $15,000 to buy their status. Instead, it bought a spotlight, one that illuminated everything they tried to hide. Outside the boutique doors, the world was already whispering. And this was just the beginning. Because while the boutique humiliation spread like wildfire, Trey was about to suffer a blow even more devastating, one that would hit him at work, in public, and in front of people he desperately needed to impress.
Rowena didn't even wait to get inside her house. She didn't bother changing clothes, didn't bother calming down, didn't bother thinking logically. The humiliation of the wedding cancellation, the public repossession, the neighbors' eyes burning into her, the whisper still ringing in her ears. It all smoldered inside her like a wildfire with gasoline poured on top. "Kezia wants war," she snarled, gripping her purse like a weapon. "I'll give her war." Serafina, blotchy-faced from crying, grabbed her mother's arm. "Mama, stop. We need Trey. Let him handle her." Rowena yanked her arm free. "Your brother is useless. He can't fix his job, much less his wife. If we don't take control, we lose everything." Serafina opened her mouth, but her mother's glare silenced her instantly. Rowena stormed toward her car, then remembered it was gone. She clenched her teeth so hard her jaw clicked. "Call a taxi," she ordered. Serafina obeyed immediately. 30 minutes later, the taxi pulled into the hospital driveway. Rowena practically kicked the door open, radiating fury so intense people stepped out of her way instinctively. Serafina chased behind her. "Mama, please, don't make a scene." "Make a scene?" Rowena snapped. "She wants attention? I'll give her what she wants." They reached the ICU floor. A nurse at the desk smiled politely. "Good afternoon. Who are you here to see?" Rowena slapped her palm on the counter. "Room 412, Effie Evans, move." The nurse blinked. "I'm sorry, but only immediate family." "We are family," Rowena barked. "Her daughter-in-law is my son's wife." Before the nurse could respond, Rowena spun around and marched down the hallway herself, spotting the room. She shoved the door open. What she saw froze her mid-rage. Kezia sat beside her mother's bed, quietly massaging her mother's limp hand, humming a soothing melody under her breath. The sight of her, peaceful, focused, loving, was so starkly different from the chaos outside that even Serafina hesitated at the doorway. Kezia didn't look up immediately, but when she did, her expression wasn't afraid. It wasn't apologetic. It wasn't even irritated. It was calm. Too calm. "Rowena," she said softly, "this is an ICU. Lower your voice." The gentle command hit Rowena harder than a slap. Her rage flared anew. "You think you can hum your little songs and pretend you're innocent?" she hissed, stepping fully into the room. "You ruined my daughter's wedding. You humiliated us. You made us the laughingstock of the entire neighborhood." Kezia didn't move, didn't flinch,
didn't rise to meet her. She simply placed a soft kiss on her mother's forehead before standing slowly. "Rowena," she said, voice steady, "I didn't ruin anything. I simply stopped paying for your illusions." Rowena's breath caught. "And as for your humiliation, that came from the life you built, not from me." Serafina grabbed her mother's wrist. "Mama, don't, please." But Rowena snatched her arm away and stepped closer. "You owe us, and you will fix this." Kezia's eyes hardened. "I owe you nothing." Just then a doctor entered the room with a clipboard. And what the doctor announced next made Rowena's stomach drop to the floor. Because the doctor's announcement wouldn't just expose Rowena, it would reveal a secret about Mama Effie's condition that would force the entire room into silence and shift the power permanently into Kezia's hands.
The doctor stepped inside the room, calm and composed, flipping through Mama Effie's file. His presence instantly shifted the air. Even Rowena stopped mid-rant, her mouth still open but no sound coming out. "Good afternoon," he said softly. "I didn't mean to interrupt, but I have an update regarding Mrs. Effie's condition." Kezia exhaled shakily and stepped aside for him. Rowena straightened her posture, trying to regain her dignity. Serafina clenched her purse strap like it might anchor her to the floor. The doctor cleared his throat. "Mrs. Effie's tests have shown something significant. The heart attack caused complications we didn't immediately catch. We ran a full cardiac assessment this morning." Kezia's hands tightened on the foot of the bed. "What complications?" she asked, voice barely above a whisper. He looked directly at her. "Your mother requires a specialized cardiac procedure. Soon." Rowena scoffed loudly. "So what? Do it. What's the issue? Hospitals love to exaggerate." The doctor's expression didn't change. "The issue, ma'am," he said, turning toward her with clinical precision, "is that this procedure requires immediate financial clearance. Without it, we cannot move her forward." Kezia's heart stopped. Rowena smirked, as if expecting Kezia to crumble, to beg, to fall apart so she could enjoy the moment. But the doctor wasn't finished. He lifted a paper from the folder and handed it to Kezia. "I already checked your mother's insurance coverage. Most of the cost is covered. The remaining balance is." He paused, letting the weight settle. "Much lower than expected. Extremely manageable." Kezia blinked. "How low?" "Around $3,000. Rowena froze. Serafina blinked rapidly. Even the beeping of the heart monitor seemed to settle into a softer rhythm. The doctor continued calmly. "The donation you made this morning to the Children's Hope Foundation triggered a charity alert. It was flagged by one of our partner organizations. After reviewing your mother's case, they approved her for immediate assistance, no application needed." Kezia gasped, her hand flying to her mouth. "Mama's covered?" "Fully," the doctor nodded. "The remaining balance can be paid in small installments, and because of the foundation's involvement, we can proceed with the procedure today." Tears blurred Kezia's vision. She turned to her mother, gently brushing her hair back. "Thank you, God. Thank you," she whispered. Rowena's eyebrows pinched together. "Wait, so her mother gets special treatment because she donated money? That's not fair." The doctor didn't even look at her. "Ma'am, generosity has a way of coming back. Her actions created opportunities for her mother. That's simply how humanity works." Kezia stifled a sob, overwhelmed. Her mother was going to be treated, not because of Trey, not because of the in-laws, not because of money she didn't have, but because she followed her heart. And Rowena knew it. The power in the room shifted entirely. Rowena felt it, Serafina felt it, even the silence acknowledged it. Kezia was no longer the quiet, obedient shadow in the family. She was the one holding everything together, the one God and fate were protecting, the one they should never have underestimated. The doctor smiled kindly. "We'll prep her now. Please wait outside for a moment." Kezia nodded, wiping her eyes.
Rowena opened her mouth, ready to pick a new fight. But the doctor turned to her abruptly. "And ma'am, please refrain from causing scenes in ICU areas. Security has already been notified." Rowena went pale. Kezia didn't say a word as she walked past her. She didn't need to. Her dignity did the speaking. But while Mama Effie was being wheeled into surgery, Trey would finally reach the hospital, and what he walked into would destroy whatever fragile ground he thought he still had with Kezia.
Trey burst through the hospital entrance like a man fleeing a burning building. His hair was disheveled, shirt wrinkled, tie missing entirely. Losing his job had shaken him, but seeing the wedding collapse, the cars repossessed, the group chat explosion, all in a single day, had shattered whatever arrogance he had left. He raced to the reception desk. "My wife, Keziah Evans. What room is she in?" His voice cracked on the word wife. "Please, I need to see her." The receptionist gave him a wary look. He looked frantic enough to be a security concern. "She's in the ICU waiting area," she finally replied. Trey sprinted to the elevators, jabbing the button repeatedly. He wasn't running because he loved her. He wasn't running because he cared about her mother. He was running because he had nothing left. Keziah was the last pillar holding his world together, and he knew it. When the elevator doors opened onto the ICU floor, he froze, because standing there, rigid and furious, was his mother. Rowena marched toward him like a general ready to slaughter her soldier. "Trey!" she yelled. "Explain to me how we lost everything in one day." Trey flinched. "Mama, please, this isn't the place." "Oh, you want to talk about place?" Rowena hissed. "The boutique laughed at us. The planners canceled. The neighbors watched our cars being taken. And you let Keziah humiliate us." Serafina, still swollen-eyed, sniffled. "We're ruined, Trey. Ruined." Trey clenched his fists. "I'm trying, okay? She blocked me. She won't answer. Before he could finish, the doctor stepped out of the ICU. "Keziah Evans' family?" he called. Trey rushed forward. "Yes, I'm her husband." The doctor raised an eyebrow, clearly unimpressed. "She's with her mother. Please keep your voices down." He turned to leave, but Trey chased after him. "Doctor, please, her mother, is she okay? Can I see her?" The doctor paused, then looked Trey dead in the eyes. "Her mother is stable and undergoing the procedure because of Keziah," he emphasized pointedly. She didn't hesitate. She didn't argue. She stepped up like family should. Trey felt like he had been punched. Rowena scoffed. "Stop praising her. She's the reason this entire family's collapsing." The doctor's expression went cold. "Ma'am, your daughter-in-law saved her mother's life, and based on the notes from administration, she's been the only person consistently present." Serafina elbowed Rowena nervously. "Mama, people are staring." But Rowena only grew louder. "I don't care. She thinks she can cut us off? She thinks she can embarrass us? Well, Trey is here to fix everything." Trey wished the ground would swallow him. At that exact moment, the ICU door slid open, and Keziah stepped out. Her eyes were swollen from crying, but her posture was unshakable. Calm, composed, untouchable. Trey felt his breath catch. He hadn't seen her this strong in years. "Keziah," he whispered, stepping toward her. She held up a hand. "No." The single word froze him in place. Rowena lunged forward to attack. "Keziah, you insolent!" But Keziah turned her gaze sharply. "Rowena, this is a hospital. One more outburst, and security escorts you out." Her tone was so controlled, so icy, that Rowena involuntarily stepped back. Trey opened his mouth again, but Keziah spoke first. "What are you doing here, Trey?" Her voice wasn't fragile. It wasn't pleading. It wasn't scared. It was the voice of a woman who had already walked out emotionally and was now deciding whether she would walk out physically, too. Trey swallowed hard. I need you, he whispered. Keziah didn't blink. You needed my money. You never needed me. Silence. Rowena fumed. Serafina trembled. Trey broke. But you're my wife, he choked. Keziah finally met his eyes. Not for much longer. Before Trey could respond, the doctor approached again. Mrs. Keziah, we need the family to wait outside. Your mother is almost ready to be transferred. Keziah nodded and turned away, leaving Trey there, hollow and stunned. But as Keziah walked down the hallway, Trey snapped, and what he did next sent the entire ICU floor into chaos and proved to everyone that he wasn't just desperate, he was dangerous.
Kezia walked away from Trey without looking back, not because she wanted to hurt him, but because she had finally reached the point every exhausted woman eventually reaches, the point of no return. Her mother was alive, her finances were free, her sanity was returning, and Trey's panic wasn't her responsibility anymore. But Trey couldn't accept that. As Kezia headed toward the nurse's station to sign the transfer forms, Trey's breathing grew shallow. His hands trembled. His vision blurred around the edges. He felt a suffocating pressure squeezing his chest. Everything he depended on, everything he took for granted, was slipping through his fingers like sand. And the person slipping away wasn't just his wife. It was his lifestyle, his security, his entire identity. He lunged forward without thinking. "Keziah!" he shouted, voice cracking with desperation. "Don't walk away from me!" Everyone in the waiting area snapped their heads toward him. Kezia stopped, but did not turn around. Trey sprinted toward her, his shoes squeaking on the polished floor. Rowena gasped. Serafina covered her mouth. A nurse flinched. Before anyone could intervene, Trey grabbed Kezia's wrist. His grip was not gentle, not pleading, not loving. It was possessive, fear-driven, borderline violent. "You can't do this to me," Trey shouted, his voice echoing down the corridor. "You can't just end everything." Kezia's expression hardened. "I didn't destroy your life," she said softly. "You did." Trey's grip tightened, his panic spiraling into something darker. "You're my wife," he yelled. "I own." "Hey," a male nurse shouted, rushing toward them. "Sir, release her now." But Trey didn't hear him, didn't hear anything. His world had narrowed to the one person he had never expected to lose. He tried to pull her closer. "I love you, Kezia, okay? I love you. I'll change. I'll do anything you want. Just please, please don't leave me." His words were a frantic mix of truth and manipulation, so tangled even he didn't know which was which. Kezia looked at him with eyes full of painful clarity. "No," she said. "You love what I gave you, not who I am." Trey's face crumpled. His knees buckled. He sank to the floor right there, in the middle of the ICU waiting room, collapsing into a trembling heap of regret, fear, and humiliation. "No, please, Kezia, don't, please," he sobbed, grabbing at her skirt like a drowning man. Security arrived. "Sir, stand up," the guard commanded. "You're causing a disturbance in a critical care area." Trey didn't move. He kept crying, kept clutching, kept pleading. Kezia stepped back, releasing herself from his grasp. Her voice was quiet, but powerful. "This is why I'm leaving." Her words silenced the entire hallway. Security lifted Trey to his feet. He didn't resist. He simply collapsed in their grip, sobbing uncontrollably. Kezia turned away. For the first time in years, she felt weightless. But the storm was not over. As she walked toward her mother's room,
Her phone buzzed with a message from Attorney Sterling. "We need to meet. There's something you must see about Trey's finances." Kezia's heart dropped. What now? Because Sterling's discovery wouldn't just expose Trey's lies. It would uncover a hidden betrayal so deep, it would change the entire direction of Kezia's life and her future freedom.
Kezia stepped into the hospital courtyard for a breath of air, the message from Attorney Sterling still glowing on her phone screen. "We need to meet. There's something you must see about Trey's finances." Her stomach knotted. She expected chaos. She expected debt. She expected irresponsibility. But the tone of Sterling's message didn't feel like normal financial trouble. It felt heavier, more dangerous. Before she could reply, her phone rang. "Attorney Sterling." Kezia answered immediately. "Sterling, what's going on?" His voice was flat, controlled, too controlled. "Kezia, you need to come to my office, now." "I'm at the hospital. My mother—" "This can't wait," he said. "It concerns your safety." Her breath hitched. "Safety?" He exhaled sharply, the kind of exhale a man gives when he has bad news he hates delivering. "Someone accessed your joint accounts 2 weeks ago. Someone that wasn't you." Kezia's pulse spiked. "Trey?" "No," Sterling said grimly. "He authorized someone else." Kezia felt her throat close. "Who?" A beat of silence. Then, "It's his girlfriend, Kezia." The world tilted. Girlfriend. Not friend, not temporary mistake, not someone Trey flirted with. Girlfriend. Her legs went weak, and she grabbed the courtyard railing for balance. Sterling continued gently. "There's more. Come now." Kezia's voice cracked. Is this woman someone I know?" Sterling hesitated, and in that hesitation, Kezia found her answer. She whispered, "Tell me." Sterling sighed. "It's someone close, very close." Fear slashed through her, faster than anger. Her sister? Her cousin? Her coworker? Her mind raced. Sterling spoke again. "This woman has been helping Trey drain your accounts quietly for months. Small transactions first, then larger ones, all disguised as subscriptions, transfers, and routine bills." Kezia felt her heart physically hurt. "How much did they take?" she whispered. "A lot," he answered. "More than I expected Trey to be capable of manipulating." "Give me the number." He hesitated. "Sterling, tell me." $38,000. Kezia's hand flew to her mouth. 38,000. Gone. Stolen behind her back. Used for God knows what. Probably the wedding, vacations, gifts, luxuries, lies. Her lungs tightened. "And Trey allowed it?" she whispered. "He initiated it," Sterling said. "He signed digital approval forms under your name, forged, of course." A wave of nausea washed over her. Her marriage wasn't just loveless. It wasn't just toxic. It wasn't just draining. It had been criminal, and she had no idea. Kezia steadied herself against a stone pillar, mind racing. "I'm coming now." Sterling paused again. "One more thing." Kezia closed her eyes. "What?" He said, "We identified who the woman is." Kezia's chest tightened again, ready for impact. Sterling delivered the blow cleanly. "It's someone who's been in your house, someone who calls you sister."
Kezia's blood turned to ice. She knew. She knew instantly. Her hands began trembling violently. Sterling confirmed it anyway. It's Serafina. Kezia's world didn't just crack, it exploded. Because when she confronted Trey's family with the truth, Serafina wouldn't deny it. She would smirk and reveal an even darker secret behind Trey's betrayal.
Kezia didn't remember the drive to Sterling's office. Her hands shook the entire way, her breath unsteady, her heart pounding like it was trying to burst out of her chest. Betrayal was no longer a sharp sting. It was a full-body burn. Serafina, her sister-in-law, the woman she bought clothes for, the woman she defended during arguments, the woman who cried about her dream wedding and begged Kezia to help pay for it. Serafina had been Trey's girlfriend, and together they drained her. By the time Kezia reached Sterling's office, she had already dried 3 sets of tears. She walked inside with a silent, explosive determination. Sterling stood as she entered. He pushed a folder toward her, thick, filled with printed bank statements, screenshots, signatures, timestamps. "This," he said gently, "is everything." Kezia opened the folder. There it was. Transaction after transaction. Small charges labeled as boutique purchases, salon visits, spa treatments, designer handbags, and 2 hotel bookings. All signed under her name, all approved by Trey. And every one of them linked to the same device fingerprint, Serafina's phone. Kezia felt the world narrow around her, like she was falling through a tunnel with no bottom. "They thought you would never notice," Sterling said, voice low with anger. "They thought you were too overwhelmed, too soft, too busy caring for everyone else." Kezia closed the folder. "I want to confront them," she whispered. Sterling nodded. "I expected you would. I'll accompany you." When Kezia and Sterling arrived at the hospital again, Rowena and Serafina were still in the waiting area, pacing, whispering angrily, plotting their next attack. But the moment they saw Kezia walking toward them with Sterling at her side, their faces shifted. Rowena scowled. "You again? Come to apologize?" Serafina rolled her eyes. "Or beg forgiveness, finally?" Kezia didn't speak. She placed the folder directly on the table beside them and flipped it open. The pages fanned like a deck of cards, each one screaming with evidence. Serafina's face drained of color. Rowena frowned. "What is this?" Sterling answered coolly. "This is proof that your daughter has been accessing Kezia's accounts illegally. Proof of fraud, identity forgery, and theft." Serafina stood up abruptly. That's ridiculous. I don't even—" Kezia cut her off. "2 hotel bookings, Serafina? Paid for with my money? Signed under my name? Reserved by you and Trey?" Serafina's lips trembled, just for a second. Then something shocking happened. She smiled. Not a nervous smile, not a mistaken smile. A smirk. Cold. Triumphant. Cruel. "Oh, Kezia, you really thought my brother was loyal to you? You thought you were special?" Kezia's stomach twisted. Serafina leaned closer, voice dripping with malice. "Trey and I have been working together for months. And guess what?" Kezia's heart pounded. Serafina's smirk widened. "He was never supposed to stay with you. You were just the investment." Kezia froze. Rowena's eyes widened, but not in shock, in shame, because she knew. Serafina continued, her voice almost gleeful now.
And the funniest part? Trey didn't meet me through family. He met me through your phone. The day you let me borrow it, yeah, he saw our chats, saw my pictures, and, well, things just happened. Kezia's breath left her body like she'd been slapped. Sterling stepped forward sharply. You're confessing to fraud on record. Serafina shrugged. Whatever. Kezia won't press charges. She's too soft. Kezia finally lifted her head. Her eyes were no longer full of pain. They were full of fire. You're wrong. Serafina blinked. What? I will press charges, Kezia said, against both of you. Rowena gasped. You ungrateful! But Kezia wasn't finished speaking. And I'm divorcing Trey. A stunned silence fell over the room. Serafina's smirk shattered. Rowena's chest heaved. The air burned with shock. But Kezia wasn't done speaking. Not even close. Because when Trey himself walked into the room, bruised, broken, desperate, and heard everything, what he confessed next would leave everyone speechless and bring Kezia's story to a powerful, final conclusion.
Before we continue, tell me in the comments, what would you do if your spouse ignored you during a family emergency? And don't forget to like and subscribe so more people can discover stories like this. The air in the ICU waiting room was so thick with tension that even the nurses lingered near the doorway, unsure whether to intervene or observe the spectacle unfolding. Serafina's smirk had fully dissolved. Rowena's mouth hung open in disbelief. Attorney Sterling stood solidly at Kezia's side like a silent shield. And then the automatic doors slid open with a hiss. Trey stepped inside. His eyes were red, cheeks swollen, shirt stained, evidence of a man who had cried too long and too loudly. The security guards must have let him go after seeing how pathetic he'd become. He froze the moment he saw the folder on the table, the printed evidence, the signatures, the screenshots, Serafina's guilty silence, and Kezia standing tall. Kezia, Trey whispered, voice cracking. Please, listen, please. He staggered forward, each step slower than the one before, like he feared the truth waiting for him. Sterling crossed his arms. Rowena stiffened. Serafina shrank back. Kezia didn't move. Trey looked at the folder, then at Serafina, then finally at his wife. What is all this? Serafina looked away. Kezia answered for her. It's proof that the money missing from my accounts didn't disappear. It was stolen by you and her. Trey's knees buckled and he fell onto the nearest chair. No, Kezia, listen, it's not what you think. Sterling slammed the folder shut. Don't insult her intelligence. Trey wiped his face with shaky hands. I swear, I didn't mean to hurt you. Things just... You signed hotel bookings with her twice. Trey froze. Rowena gasped. Hotel? Serafina, you never told me that. Serafina shouted, Stay out of it, Mama. Trey squeezed his eyes shut, agony twisting his features. Kezia, I was weak. I was stupid. I was lost. Please, I'll fix it. I will pay everything. I'll go to therapy. I'll do anything you want. Just don't leave me. He fell to his knees in front of her, again. But this time, Kezia felt nothing. No pull, no pity, no hesitation. Trey, she said calmly. What were you planning? Why keep me around if you didn't love me? Trey swallowed hard. He opened his mouth, closed it, opened it again. The room leaned forward. Finally, in a voice so low it trembled, your money. Rowena gasped. Serafina looked away. Sterling shook his head in disgust. All of it, Trey continued, tears streaming. We were going to stay married for 2 more years, then file for separation, and I'd take half. That was the plan. Mama said, Rowena shrieked, Trey! But it was too late. He had spilled the final truth. Keziah didn't flinch, didn't cry, didn't scream. Her voice was steady, clear, almost serene. Thank you, she said. That's all I needed. She turned to Sterling. File everything. Divorce, press charges, freeze assets, full restraining order. Sterling got it without hesitation. Rowena lunged forward. You can't do this after everything we've given you. Keziah raised a hand, not in anger, but in finality. You gave me nothing, and you tried to take everything. Serafina backed against the wall, breathing hard. Trey collapsed fully onto the floor, sobbing so uncontrollably the nurses had to ask if he needed medical attention. But Keziah? She felt nothing but peace. She walked toward her mother's room, stopped at the doorway, looked back one last time, and with a calm strength that silenced the entire hallway, she said, This chapter is over. Then she stepped inside, closing the door behind her, leaving betrayal, greed, and brokenness outside forever.